One of the things that annoys me the most about this world is people that speed up when you try to pass them on the freeway. What's the deal with that? You're going slow. I am not going slow. So instead of ramming into your rear end, I decide to shift, move to the other lane, speed up to get in front of you. But there's people out there that for whatever reason, this is like a huge ego hit to them or something. I honestly don't understand the context of what would possibly make you do this. But some people, when they're about to be passed, they speed up. They speed up. Why? What is the point of that? Like, are you that fragile? Are you that fragile of a human being that the very thought of someone passing you on the road because you're going slow? Remember, there is that. You're going slow, and the other person is not going slow. Are you that fragile that if they try to pass you, you're like, no, I'm in the lead, me first? I'm reminded probably every time this happens, actually. It's not even a part-time thing. It's literally almost every single time that this happens. I'm reminded of the time that I was driving home from work, and this might have just been last year or something like that. But there was a beat-up old Explorer or something like that would not let anyone pass. And I'm talking, it got to the point, it was doing 80, 85 to keep people from passing. And when people tried to go in the other lane to pass it, no. This guy was like, nope, me. And it almost fried my brain because I was sitting there trying to understand from that perspective. I was like, is this person just trolling? Are they just trolling humanity? Are they trolling society on the freeway? Do they really think they're king of the road? I don't know. If you're someone like that, I would love to just pick your brain for 10 to 15 hours because it's something that I literally think about way too often and it drives me insane. And I wish, I got to be careful here because I know last episode was the intrusive thoughts episode and we explored some subjects via the magic of my brain that I don't really feel like diving into again. And so I'm trying to do better. If I tell you I'm trying to do better, that means I'm actually trying to do better. And so if I tell you I'm trying to do better and then I do the exact same things every single episode, what is that? It's a sitcom. But beside that, I'm not growing. I'm not expanding my mind or whatever the gurus are saying. So I have to be careful with my phrasing. I'm trying to swear less. I'm trying not to curse people into the ground because I am upset. But I really do wish that the people that do that speed up when you're trying to pass them on the freeway or just city streets, I really, really wish that tomorrow they would wake up and they'd have the inability to drive. Yeah, a little tame. Yeah, I really wish that they'd wake up and just forget how to drive entirely because then we never have to see them on the road again. And isn't that great? Isn't that something that we could all kind of celebrate and high fives all around? I think so. And on top of that, I wish that they just didn't even have the desire to drive. Like, not only did they forget, like, not like they're getting into their car and they're going, wait, what do I do? But like, what do I do? But also that they just don't even have the desire to drive. And maybe they're calmer people for it, Like, hey, maybe you start walking somewhere. I don't know where you'd walk that is along the freeway because that's usually a distance that needs to be traveled, but that's fine. It's not my problem anymore. You don't get to drive anymore. And also, I wish that their feet would fall off and their legs would snap in half and other things that I probably shouldn't say. And I'm sorry for that last bit.
I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for this.
I have had this conversation. I probably say it at least once a year, but Alaska drivers are the absolute worst drivers to ever drive. Okay? These are folks, and it's not just the people that speed up when you're trying to pass them on the highway. No. There is no middle ground. All right? There is no obeying the rules of the road in this state. Okay? The speed limit may say 65, but you're not going to catch a single soul doing 65 on the highway. What you're going to get is you're going to get someone going 90, and they're going to ride your ass all the way back to town. Or you're going to get someone going 40 and you're going to be stuck behind them the entire time. And there's no in between. All right. This is a state where there is snow every single year. It's kind of known for it. All right. Everyone's like, oh, you got Eskimos and igloos and whatnot, like, which is apparently wildly offensive. I'm a California dude at heart. It doesn't really bother me, but I can see where the offense may come in, beside the point. But every single year, without fail, when wintertime comes and the first snowfall hits, why is it when I'm driving to work, I see 55 cars in the ditch every single winter without fail? 55. I've even seen, there's been times where I've seen cars on fire in the middle of winter on the side of the road. On fire. Yeah, negative 20 degrees outside. Somehow still on fire. Flipped. I understand. Look, icy conditions, all been there. All right. I've had some scary, sketchy situations myself, but it blows me away just the complete disregard for human life that Alaska drivers have. And it'd be you would expect them to be like pro level drivers with the crazy weather that we get out here. They are not. They are not. Now, I'm someone that's driven like rush hour on the 15 in Vegas. All right. Driven in LA. I've driven in some crazy places. And I promise you, Alaska drivers are the worst. And it gets me every time. And it drives me insane. And I get road rage and I can't scream or slam into cars, even though that's what's going on up here. I just do it once. Just run them off the road. What's going to happen? I don't know. That's usually where it ends. So probably not a great idea, but still, no to Alaska drivers. And now I'm kind of fed up because I was at work today. It was an all right day. No, you know what? It wasn't an all right day. I had the worst day, and it's been a really bad couple of weeks as far as work goes. And I'm not happy about it. So when I get home, I'm a little grumpy. And I got home an hour ago, and I was like, you know what? I should get this out. I should sit down and get it out. And that's what I'm doing now. And it's hot. And it's way too hot. Okay? I'm sweaty. I can feel my brow condensating. Does that happen with humans? Because I feel it. I feel just beads of sweat forming as I speak. And I can't have a fan on. I would love to have a fan on. I can't do it. Not with this show going on. All you hear is... Because for some reason, the fans are almost sentient and they start making different noises. Make one noise. Your fan. What could happen that makes you make a new noise? You're blowing air, same speed. How are you getting louder? Beside the point. What I'm saying is if I look unkempt and I look hot and sweaty, you're welcome. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay. So I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm cranky. And that's the 3 buzzwords of today's episode. And I do apologize. Last week was an interesting one. And actually, to set everything from the start, I've been so backwards with this show that I've recorded so much for it. And literally, even right now, as I'm recording this episode, I have not released a single thing. Not one single thing. And I've recorded roughly 6 episodes, I think. 6 episodes. This would be number 6. What this is going to be is, I believe, number 3. And what I realized, the whole reason I didn't release the first 3 was I was just kind of testing things out. I was seeing how I wanted to do things. There's a different setup. It was a different visuals, obviously. And I was very new. So I didn't want to just record a bunch of stuff and then release it and be like, wow, I don't feel good about that. I'm a visual guy. I'm a graphic designer. And I am someone that the aesthetics got to be there. They don't got to be perfect, but they got to be there. And so I decided not to release the other ones because I'm like, it just looks very amateurish. This was in a different location. The lighting was kind of harsher. And I didn't want to do it. But I also realized that in those first episodes, mainly the first one, I explained what this show was and what I guess the plan for this was. Sorry, there's a bead of sweat going into my eyeball right now that I have to take care of. Okay, this is not going to be a fun hour. I can feel it. It's fine. So essentially, this show exists. I used to go to therapy for about a year. I was going to a therapist named Jason out here in Wasilla, and I had a great time. He was a great dude, but I could not justify the therapy prices, and insurance was re-upping again, so I would have had to pay like $1,500 in deductibles just to get back to my $40 a week copay or whatever it was, and I didn't have that cash, and I still don't have that cash. But I decided that instead of paying someone to hear my problems, or not even problems, just like really milquetoast issues that I hyper focus on, I decided that I'm just going to vent it out via the magic of the internet. And that's what this is. So for people that know me and are seeing these videos and are wondering, has Scott lost his mind? No, I have not. I have not. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts, get all my ducks in a row. Been going through a lot of changes over the past 10 years, 5 years even. And there's been a lot of crazy things that have happened in my life that I just want to get out. I just want to get out there. And I'm someone that likes to produce things. I like podcasting. I have a podcast already that I'm sure anyone that is watching this, I'm sure you're aware of the show. All right. And so I do this and it's fun for me. I love video editing and all that stuff. And I figured, I was like, hey, what if I just turn this into its own little, POV, you're my therapist type stuff where you just, if you feel inclined, watch me spiral into oblivion. Doesn't that sound nice? Also, as I was getting to the point, I have not lost my mind. I'm just getting my thoughts out there. Okay. So the things that I say on this show, I would not take them too seriously. Okay. As we mentioned last episode, I have suffered from intrusive thoughts for as long as I can remember. As a matter of fact, it's because of those thoughts that I keep putting off releasing this show. And like we kind of covered in the last episode, and I don't want to get too down in the dumps again because that was all fun last episode. This time, I'm not really feeling that, but it's those thoughts that keep me from doing things that I actually enjoy because of what are people going to think? Or you don't want people to think you're crazy. You don't want people to think that you've lost your mind. You want people to think you're fun and goofy. And I am. But I also have thoughts. And these are those thoughts. So I'm saying these thoughts to a camera and putting it on the internet so that I no longer have to pay someone to listen to these thoughts and essentially give me the runaround for an hour a week, So I don't know exactly when these release. I don't know how frequently these drop. I have no idea. I would like to do it weekly, but I have obligations in different shows and work, and I'm a dad. And so there's a lot of responsibilities that I have to tackle. And this is probably going to be at the low end of the totem pole, I should say. Now, another reason this show exists is because I have realized, and maybe it's been my entire life, I'm Irish Italian, so I have a bit of a rage issue. And a lot of the time growing up, I could kind of keep it to a dull roar. But it seems like the busier I got in the past handful of years, the worse it's gotten. Like it's manifested into something more due to my workload. So I figured this might be a good way for me to vent, get things off my chest, and, not lose my family or my relationships or scare my son or any of that fun stuff. And to me, it's enjoyable. I find this entertaining. Maybe you do. That's the big thing for me putting it out there is that I just want it to be relatable. I don't care if that's you that relates to it. I don't care if that's someone in your life that relates to it. Your grandpappy means nothing to me. Wow, just had a throwback to a memory from a childhood art show. Pappy Land. Wow. It's fine. Grandpappy really did it. Really sent me home. But I feel like people that struggle with depression or anger or any of these things, they kind of keep to themselves or they just bury it deep inside themselves and they're like, I don't want to show this to people. I don't want people to know that I struggle with these things. And so it gets very lonely. Very lonely. And you feel like no one out there can even understand you or even relate to anything that you're feeling. And so this is for those people too. There's no reason to hide it. I have issues. I struggle with things just like every single person watching this. Now, unlike every single person watching this, I have produced a show to share that information with you. And it's going to be goofy and it's going to be silly. All right. And it's also going to be serious. And it's going to be sad and it's going to be depressing at times. And that's fine. Okay. That's the whole point, is for me to get this off my chest. And that's what I'm doing. So I don't care if you enjoy it. I don't care if you think I'm weird or crazy or bizarre or why is Scott doing this? What's the point of this? Scott, are you okay? Should we call for help? Should we send this to your mom? Number one thing definitely don't do is send this to my parents. Okay. Or any of my family, really. They know the issues. All right. They don't need to watch me spiral out of control over the course of a YouTube program. So, God, this is going to drive me insane. Remember a couple weeks ago when I said that I really needed a haircut and then I didn't get a haircut? Yeah, I'm there right now. And I need to trim my beard and I need to be less sweaty because I'm feeling sweat in places that I don't enjoy feeling sweat. And there's no getting around that, I can't have a fan on. I can't. And this garage is probably the coolest area of the house right now. So just got to make do. Now, if it looks like I'm sweating uncontrollably throughout the course of this program, it's because I am. Okay? So, got that out. Everyone's aware of what the show is. Everyone's aware of why I'm doing this. Now we can continue. Now we can see where this goes. Moments ago, I told you about the anger issues that I have, right? And they come out of nowhere, and there's obvious triggers, as I'm sure there is with everything. And there is no greater example of that than what happened yesterday. Yesterday, as we kind of mentioned previously, my son is potty training. And we switched him from his little tiny potty on the floor to the big boy potty. But with that, you have to remove a toilet seat. You don't have to, but there's toilet seats that have like inception for the seat themselves. There's a tiny baby seat, and then there's a bigger seat. Okay? And so you have to remove your old toilet seat, put the new one on. Now, yesterday, I woke up with my son. He went to the bathroom on his potty. And I was like, you know what? I should probably get that new one put on so that next time, because we were out of liners for his, and I was like, next time you can just use the new one on the regular toilet. Don't got to worry about these liners. Now, it is still way too early in the morning. I have not had my coffee. And I'm attempting to do something that I've never done before. Okay? 3 signs of a bad idea. And I'm sweaty. 4 signs. Okay? God, motherfuck. So, I'm told that this is going to be a very quick process. That all the reviews say it's very easy to install. That's a red flag. Okay? Whenever I see very easy to install, I know in my heart of hearts, I know for certain this is not going to be easy to install because I'll probably overlook something that is very easy and then I'll make it take 50 steps when it should have taken 3. And that's me. Hello. It's me. So I am tired, caffeine deprived, doing something I've never done before, and admittedly a little cranky. And here I am trying to put this toilet seat on. I, pop the caps or whatever, stop the cap. I unscrew the screws and the screws aren't unscrewing. You know what I mean? Is that hard to follow? I tried to unscrew the seat and they weren't unscrewing. Now, this toilet seat had directions with it. And on each side, there's different directions. One said, if it's an installation from the top of the toilet seat, then you need X, Y, Z. If it's from underneath, you need X, Y, Z. And I look at the toilet and I say, well, there's no way it's from underneath because everything's on top. So in my head already, I'm like, all right, it's top. We're going to do the top thing. Got to unscrew this. Now the screws weren't unscrewing, as I mentioned previously. And so I'm sitting there, slowly losing it, piece by delicate piece. I had to take a break from that story because I was sweating so profusely that I felt like liquid. I literally felt like liquid. It's beside the point. And it's happening again. I can feel it happening again. It's fine. Guys, no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. And there's nobody listening. So as I was saying, the screws were not unscrewing, correct? And I'm already getting flustered. My son is next to me and he's like, what's going on? And he's trying to be like, a nice, when I have my kind of like meltdowns a little bit and I try not to have them around him, but when I do, he's always so sweet about it, But I don't want him to see that. That's beside the point. What he does, like a couple weeks ago with the curtain debacle, he saw me lose my mind. And then like 5 minutes later when I was working on something, he's like, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I'm like, thanks, buddy. I should be telling you that. Not the other way around, but it's fine. So with this, he's trying to build me up and whatnot. Oh, it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. No, I am losing my mind on this toilet seat because it is not coming off. And I have a bunch of work to take care of for my job with a client that I absolutely hate and cannot stand dealing with. And they come in way too often and I have to deal with them all the time. And so I know, I'm like, this is taking forever. I was hoping to get up on that project before I get emails about it so that I can get a head start on it. And so in my head, there's already 50 things going and I'm already upset and it's already taking too long and I'm getting frustrated, stressed out, and I'm about to lose my marbles on a toilet seat. So I collect my thoughts. I'm like, all right, gonna get someone to cut this off. Come out to the shop and I have a screwdriver with the replaceable bits in it, right? And I'm trying to pull out the flathead so I can put in a Phillips bit and the flathead bit's not coming out. And I'm like yanking on this thing. I'm like, when is this? And I'm like getting pissed again. Classic me. And I'm trying to pull it off and nothing's happening. So I grab it and I like try to I guess, force it out via the power of like a whip action. And what I do is when I do that and I pull up too hard and the bit flies out and you know where it goes? Into the TV screen. So yes, I did break the TV trying to get a flathead screw bit out of the screwdriver so I can go do something I don't know how to do while I'm stressed out because I know I have to do this thing for work and I'm trying to get ahead of it before everyone comes in and starts telling me what to do for it. And I'm trying to get it off my plate because it stresses me out every time I see it. And now all these things, I'm like juggling all these things all around me and I'm just losing my mind. And my poor mom who is visiting us is like standing in the shop while I'm practically screaming that I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of every day there's something new in this house for me to do. Hey, have you seen the studio? I'm not the masculine handyman, all right? I'm the creative dude that shoots videos about his trauma. All right, what part of, if you had the option, let me ask you, if you had the option, you have a little bitch, right? You got a little bitch boy right there, okay? Creative little bitch boy, I'll give you that. But you had just a little tiny bitch man, okay? And he had maybe some art supplies, some canvas, some hipster yellow lens glasses. Maybe he had those. All right. And then next to him, you had a jacked tool belt, has watched Home Improvement religiously, even though it's been off the air for 30 years, shops at Home Depot on the daily, and has a tattoo of Chip and Joanne Gaines. Which of those two people would you ask to install a toilet seat? You don't even have to answer. I already know it. I know it. I know the answer. It's the Chip and Joanne Gaines guy. Okay. And that's fine. I get that. We're different people. However, my wife doesn't have the luxury of being married to two men. Okay. As far as I'm aware. Okay. I believe that's called infidelity and not in this house. It's fine. So I am losing my mind because I just broke the TV all for a toilet seat. You hear me? All for a toilet seat. And so I am stressed out. I get into the bathroom and, my mom is sitting there trying to make sure that I'm not losing any more of my marbles because most of them are on the floor rolling away from me. And, she's like, oh, let's just take a look. And so she kind of peeks under and she's like, oh, there's these things underneath. And that's why it wasn't coming out. Yeah, because apparently the toilet seat was installed from the bottom and they were hidden underneath these weird curves of the toilet that no one could see. And when you look at it, you're like, well, this is clearly just on top because it's not concave. The toilet seat does not go in and fold in upon itself and then go down. No. But it was the bottom. Yeah. So after that was sorted out, it took all of 30 seconds. It was very easy. Now, did the toilet seat cost me the respect of my family? Probably. Did the toilet seat cost me a TV? It absolutely did. Does the TV still work? Yes. Can you watch anything? Probably not. Did I just buy a replacement remote control for that TV that has not even arrived yet? Yes. Did I buy that replacement remote because every single time I was in here, the batteries would die? Yeah. Am I pissed about that? Yes. Yes. But there is a new toilet seat, so I guess we could be thrilled about that. We could be thrilled about that development, huh? Good thing I didn't lose my mind in the process. What I'm trying to do right now is illustrate that this is how my mind operates. And it's something that you wouldn't think, well, why would you lose your mind over installing a toilet seat? I don't know. Enough things go wrong or are in my head at one time, I get overwhelmed and stressed out, and then I explode. Hence the show. Okay, so I'm going to explode at you, the camera, the internet, and I'm not going to explode on my family. I'm not going to explode on my son, who's 3 years old and cute as a button and sweet and loving and is starting to have an anger problem. So I need to find creative outlets, and that's this. So that's the toilet situation. Guys, you're going to be thrilled if you come over to my house and you see 2 toilet seats in place of 1. You're going to say, I know, a toddler is shitting on one of these toilet seats. And I'm going to say, yes, sir, it only cost me the respect of my family and a TV. I think what I've noticed, and maybe I'm alone in this, but if that's the case, fine, whatever. I honestly, at this point, I don't care, all right? I just told you guys I lost my mind over installing a toilet seat. What, now I'm going to keep secrets? No. So what I've noticed is that I used to be, well, my entire life, I've been a very emotional person. I've been very expressive. I still am. But the issue is where you used to have this whole spectrum of emotion. You'd have joy and sadness and euphoria and grief and anger. What I've noticed is that now, as an adult man, the feelings that I get, no matter what they are, they're expressed through rage. Just rage. That's the one. Are you sad? Rage. Are you worried? Rage. Are you overwhelmed? Rage. Are you happy? So, it's weird coming to that realization. I don't remember when it hit me, but it hit me like a ton of bricks at some point where I was just like, wow, every single emotion, when I get really heated and angry, if I step back and I'm like, what caused that? What emotion within me caused that to happen? And most of the time, it's fear, sadness. If I snap at people, it's because I'm either embarrassed or sad or worried, overwhelmed, but almost never actually angry. It just all festers into anger. And I don't know how to stop that. And so that's why I'm trying to get to the bottom of that while I still can, before I just turn into some old hermit that just sits in his room for his entire life and keeps to himself and doesn't ever have friends, doesn't have people that, you can enjoy your life with. So that's what this is. Yay! Figured it out. Woohoo! It's fine. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe someone else can relate to that in the sense that everything boils down to rage. If you have anger issues, there's things that are the root cause of that, sure. But there's also emotions that are being hidden by the anger. And so for people that have to deal with people with anger issues, whenever there's some kind of outburst, if you have the opportunity to think like, hey, what is really the problem here? I guarantee it's almost always not anger. Maybe it's sadness. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they feel disrespected. Things that you could easily talk out and be like, hey, I feel like there's maybe a miscommunication here. What did you hear or what did you feel about what I said that made you react that way? And sometimes it's hard. You got to let time pass before you can actually do anything about it. I'm someone that needs to chill out for a few minutes. So if I'm heated and I say, you need to get away from me, that means, hey, don't talk to me. Let's not sort through this right now. Give me 10 minutes. I'll come back with a level head and we'll figure it out. Everyone's different. I'm just trying to share what happens for me personally. But I'm in intrusive thoughts land. That's what happens is you think that you're the only one that reacts this way. You're the only person that does this. Don't tell anyone that. Don't let people know that you struggle with things. No. Keep that to yourself. And that is straight from the devil. All right. So whether you believe in the devil or not, entirely different subject. But those emotions for me personally, as a religious man, being raised Christian, and I'm a practicing Christian, I do my best. I can see patterns from what I read in scripture to what I experience in my real life. And so for me, it's the reality. That doesn't mean it is for you. You do whatever works best for you. All right. If you want to be a dirty, rotten, no good sinner, you do that. I'm the same way. I just believe in God, And so I try to work through my problems with a biblical lens. And it's not easy, as you can tell, because I started a show about how not easy it is. I'm constantly arguing with myself in my head. And that's another thing that I get to do here is I get to get these thoughts out. And why is it, while we're on the subject, why is it that we argue with ourselves in our head? Who are we arguing with? Who is it? I know. Look, I know I cannot be the only person that is, when I'm in the shower, I'd say 8 out of every 10 showers, there's some kind of weird conversation that I'm having but I'm winning. I'm winning the argument. Like, no, you said this. And it's all in my head. And the other person's like, oh, I guess I got to concede the argument. I lost. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, we did it. What is that argument? And why are we doing it in the shower? And what is the point of it? Is it an ego thing? Are we like, hey, this is what it would be like if I was right from time to time? That's got to be it for me, right? I'm married. I'm right 0% of the time, which is a mathematical impossibility, okay? I can't be 100% wrong 100% of the time. Okay, the math doesn't add up. I got to be right sometimes. What's it going to be? Beside the point. Off topic. Back to the shower thoughts. I just don't get it. Because like I'll have some like seriously heated arguments in my own head about not even about subjects. There's no subject. Nothing. It's just the idea of winning an argument that just has my mind on cloud nine. Where I'm just like, yeah, and then I said this, and then they would say this, but then I'd come back with this, and they wouldn't see that coming. Your boy wins. And I got to be honest, it makes me feel unwell, but also really great because I won the argument, you know? I just don't really understand what that is. But it's been something that I've had my entire life. It's not like an adult thing where, oh, once you got beaten down by the world, now you just cry in the shower like Tobias Funke, all right? Wondering why life is so hard. No, it's been when I was a kid, this would happen too. Who am I arguing with? And why is it myself? And why is it constant? And when does it end? What a strange show. I wonder how long this show is going to go on for. I should say this. I wholeheartedly expect no one to watch this. Because I know that if I was watching this the entire time, I'd be like, what am I watching? More importantly, why am I watching? So, unless, of course, you can relate to the struggles of a 35-year-old Alaskan, I have no idea why you'd be watching this. But it's fine either way. I appreciate the company. I'm probably not going to check the comments on this show because that seems like a really bad idea. Yeah. I'll probably just post off into the chilling backdrop of time and space and say goodbye. Goodbye, emotions and feelings that I had last week. Au revoir. My wife and I are expecting our second child in November. And that's probably why there's some heightened anxiety. You just get used to the one and you're like, okay, I think I got this. I'm slowly becoming okay with the idea of never sleeping again. I have completely forgotten what quiet is and how to attain it. I've come to terms with the fact that I will not ever get to watch TV that is not bluey or weird Japanese ASMR videos that my son, for whatever reason, loves to watch. And it's just some lady with like a knife or something just cutting kinetic sand. It's like... Like, what is that? That video will get 600 million views. This video of me pouring my heart out will, if I'm lucky, get 6.5. And that's fine. That's fine. I don't need 600 million views. But I'm just saying it's kind of strange that those things tend to get really popular. I guess kids will just watch anything bright that, you know, has interesting sounds. All I know is I hate watching it. But that's beside the point. What I mean is that I'm never going to get to watch TV again. Yeah, your boy's not ever going to be able to put on something entertains me, I guess. You know, by the time my wife gets the kids down, or our son down at this point, it takes him less than 20 minutes to fall asleep now. So I get zero time. This is my time to myself. So if I look a little frazzled, that's also why. Because this is the only me time that I get in the day. You know? And now we're having a second child. And she is due in November. Which means the countdown begins, you know, before right back to the diapers, the crying all night, the all kinds of stuff that is going through my head. I'm like, oh no. And I still work a full-time job. And I still have a full-time weekly podcast. And I have a full-time business that's failing and getting worse every single day. And I have a new podcast to tackle the stress from all the other stuff that I'm doing. Which, side note, weird that I said that my workload got too much, so I decided to start this show so I can get things off my chest, when in reality, this show is going to put more work on my plate. Hey, where's the sense? It's not there. Beside the point. Yes, so baby girl's coming in November, and I'm going to get to experience all this again. And don't get me wrong, there's moments that I miss about my son being a little baby, him being like, more mina, little broken sentences, wanting bananas, wanting all this stuff. It's cute. It's cute. And now he talks in full sentences like he's a 45-year-old man. And he's 3. It's wild. So I'm going to get to experience those things again, and possibly for the last time, through the magic of our baby girl. No matter how anxious I get, I know in the end it's going to be a good thing. And just like it was with our son, you know, before he was born, We had our own lives. We did whatever we wanted, But after he was born, it's not like we were cursed, like, oh, now we'll never get to do what we want. Our life just shifted into this is what it is now. Now we have a son. And the idea of not having a son is crazy. It's crazy. I can't even imagine what life would be like without him. And he's only been here for 3 years. So it's not like things get worse. Things get hectic. There's a little more chaos involved. But at the same time, kids teach us things that we've needed to learn for quite some time and have just been too busy or whatever. And so kids teach us to slow things down a little bit. And I'm hoping that with the birth of our daughter, that is going to be the case again. And even though I'm stressing out right now, not knowing how I'm going to manage everything as a work from home dad who has 50 different projects on his plate outside of that, I know that it's going to work out somehow. Whether that means I give up on all this stuff and I just turn it all in, stop doing the podcast, the business and all that stuff and just turn it into full-time work and dad mode or what? I don't know. But it is a little stressful, but it's also exciting, And I say that now because I can sleep a little bit. Ask me again in November when she's here. And we're praying to give us someone that's a little more chill. Please, God, I'm begging you, someone that's a little more chill that likes to sleep in a crib and doesn't need to be held constantly to fall asleep, even though it's cute and adorable. Some rest would be all right too, 2 kids. Can't even imagine. I can't even wrangle the one. I can't imagine what I'm going to do with 2. I don't get any say in naming the kids either, which is kind of, it is what it is, but what I do get, and my wife hasn't technically agreed to this, but as a man, I'm putting my foot down, fellas. Everyone's like, what is that? What does that mean? You're putting your foot down? What is that? No, you're not. Beside the point, I have decided that I'm naming the animals. And they're not going to have cute animal names either. No. They're going to have human names. We're going to get a cat. I'm going to name it Greg. Dave. Here's my cat, Dave. And my wife is blown away that I would even consider that. She's like, what? No, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, no. You get to name the kids. I get to name the pets. Simple as. Okay? Simple as. So, nothing brings me more joy than the idea of my cat having the greebles and zoomies at 3 a.m, and my neighbors just hear me screaming at the top of my lungs for Greg to knock it off. I don't understand why, but I want to live in a world like that. I want my home to be a world like that. This is Greg the cat. Who cares? Who cares? We have Atlas the son, Amelia the daughter, and Greg the cat. Who named the cat? That was Dad. It sure was. And that's fine. I think it's the least that you could do. If I don't get to have any say in naming the children, then at the very least, give me something. Let me name something. Let me feel powerful, okay? Let me have some purpose in this life. It's going to be cat names, folks. Cat names. And that's fine.
I'm sorry for this.